The cry of black power, is it merely the slogan of the Negro frustrated with the pace of civil rights, or a cry calculated to put fear into the hearts of whites? This is Extremism 67, with your commentator, lawyer and former FBI Special Agent Milton Ellerin. His guest is Bayard Rustin, civil rights leader and executive director of the A. Philip Randolph Institute.
What is black power? Is it to be feared or respected? Is the call, "Listen, white man," a cry of violence or a cry of anguish? To the overwhelming majority of American Negroes, I believe black power means the power of the organized vote, the legitimate right of citizens in a democracy to exercise their combined influence at the polls. But to some, the term black power apparently represents a bitter rejection of the democratic process as an answer to Negro grievances and a deliberate turn to riots, force, and violence as the only language whites can understand. It is not surprising that the extremists have seized on the call for black power as evidence that communists are fomenting civil war in the United States. According to the John Birch Society Bulletin, the whole civil rights movement is a plot, and I quote, "to stir up such bitterness between whites and blacks in the South that small flames of civil disorder would inevitably result." End of quote. Extremist groups are trying to frighten white Americans into believing that the struggle for Negro equality threatens their own rights and freedoms. Much of the so-called white backlash can be traced to the insidious whispering campaigns expounding this theme. While it's true that the communists are eager to recruit discontented Negroes into their ranks, American Negroes have consistently rebuffed communist efforts to use them. The fact is that the average Negro wants to see the racial situation grow better, whereas the communist hopes for the worst. One civil rights leader, Bayard Rustin, executive director of the A. Philip Randolph Institute, says that while there is no definition of black power, Negroes have responded emotionally to the cry.
I think the real problem with black power is that if you would conceive that people, all the way from the NAACP, certain individuals, over to the most extreme elements in the Negro community, all kinds of people say they believe in it, then obviously it is quite impossible that anything could be organized around it. Because when you get that spectrum, the moment people attempted to do anything concrete around it, then obviously they would fall apart.
Mr. Rustin says the question is not whether the white man ought to fear black power. The reality is he will.
White people know that they have mistreated Negro for many, many years. And therefore, the minute any number of Negroes begin to gather in one place, white people are frightened. Now, the reason white people believe that there's always going to be trouble if 2 or 3 Negroes are gathered is because they are saying to themselves, in reality, the Negro's just like me. And had I been treated the way the Negro has been treated, then I ought to be afraid because I would strike back and therefore he must be going to engage in violence. Now, most Negroes have been dedicated to nonviolence, but the minute such a slogan as black power is used, then all of these inner fears which spring from white guilt come to the surface. And that is not what we need in this period.
True black power and true white power are one and the same. The power to make our country more free and more secure for all our people. Remember, when you hear your churches, your schools, your courts, your government attacked, get the facts. Who is attacking? Why are they attacking? The right to criticize is a cornerstone of democracy, but watch out for the extremists who misuse that right to destroy your way of life.
Milton Ellerin, Director of Research on Extremism for the American Jewish Committee. Extremism 67 is produced by the Office of Communication, United Church of Christ, and the American Jewish Committee.